As we've discussed many times on this channel, the town of Morrilton is full of people that use their religion to justify their bad deeds. All of their flaws are ignored because they're authority figures and they're righteous ones at that. Therefore, they're completely infallible. But what happens when someone in Morrilton is a terrible person, but they don't use religion to cover it up? That is the case with Coach Danielle Stopframe. Yes, his name is Danielle, not Daniel. Just thought I'd mention that before I get actually'd in the comments. Some of you might be thinking, what's so bad about this guy? In a town full of clays, blabbertas, potter's wheels, sensor dolls, how does this guy stand out?
Let me talk to you.
For a bit over 7 years, Danielle Stopframe has been systematically destroying the Puppington household for one reason and one reason only. He is an incredibly selfish person. You see, Stopframe has his eyes set on Clay Puppington. He is madly in love with him and won't take no for an answer. Though it's not exactly like Clay is saying no, it's just that Clay's situation prevents the two of them from being together, and Stopframe isn't having it. In fact, he is so not having it that he's trying to destroy everything around Clay, so that Clay will have nowhere to turn to but him. Then at long last, Clay will be all his. The plan is basically hit on Blabberta, who he knows is unhappy in her marriage with Clay, sleep with her, have her conceive his child, and then run away. This kid, of course, turns out to be Shapey. The end result, of course, is intended to be Clay finding out that Shapey is not his kid, and then running away from Blabberta, right into Stopframe's arms. However, upon writing the script, I realized that there are actually some unintended consequences to this plan if it ever were to succeed. Moralton is not exactly the most upstanding and accepting community. When they find out that Clay Puppington, their mayor, left his happy wife and his lovely children to be with this guy, they're not gonna take it well at all. Not only do they not like gay people in general, tolerance is just a theme, right? But when they find out that this is their elected leader who's doing this, one that they trusted to help steer the town in a good direction, and one who's an extremely visible public servant, this is like their worst nightmare. Everything around Clay would implode. Even though he hates his stinking dead-end job, it's still a job and he needs it to survive. He would probably have to leave office, or if not, he would never be able to win again, and he'd also have a difficult time finding a job after that. And finally, anyone who wants to be seen as a decent person, or at the very least not be harassed by Censor Doll, would want to keep clear of moral degenerates like these. Which means that Clay would only have Stopframe. It's just the two of them. Forever. Let me be clear, I don't think that Stopframe is aware that these side effects could easily happen, but at the same time, I think that if he did know, he wouldn't care. If anything, they might make him happier because it gives him more access to Clay. We've seen that Stopframe doesn't exactly have a conscience when he realizes he's done something wrong. For example, in the episode Numb, Blabberta seeks him out to hopefully restart their love affair, but he shuts her down. After seeing how miserable this makes her, he point blank tells her he doesn't care, and then he laughs. Why would Clay be any different? If you say it's because he loves Clay, I disagree. Stopframe doesn't love Clay. In fact, I'd even say that he doesn't even know him. What Stopframe is experiencing is carnal lust. He found someone that's attractive and that's pleasant to be around, and that's the extent of it. That's all he really sees. Firstly, it's implied in Before Oral and God's Greatest Gift that Clay has no idea who Stopframe is, which means that, yes, Stopframe decided to destroy the life of a stranger purely because he thought he was hot. Over time, of course, the two would end up becoming friends and drinking buddies, and they both secretly wanted more. Clay, being a devoutly religious man and someone who's very concerned about his standing in the community, obviously wouldn't want this to be public, while Stopframe, someone who doesn't really know what he believes and changes his system depending on what he wants and what he gets, he couldn't care less. So he'll keep pushing and enabling Clay's bad behavior, all while ignoring any consequences. And of course, in the series finale, Honor, he catches Clay making out with Miss Censordoll and loses his mind because, gasp, Clay isn't the person he thought he was. He's actually a terrible person. Who could have guessed? This is why I say that Stopframe never really knew Clay. He only ever knew the face that Clay would put on when he's in a social scene. It's like what we talked about in Clay's character quest. Clay disguises himself as a modest, genuine, and overall pleasant person, and it's only when you get to know him do you get to see the demons inside. Stopframe never got to that point because he never really stopped to think about Clay, or his feelings, or his past, or what's going on inside that crazy head of his. All he cares about is, what can I get out of this relationship? How can I benefit? He even does this to Oral in the aforementioned Honor episode. No, don't worry, it's nothing sexual. The show never gets into that, at least with children. Unless you count Mr. Creepler. Never mind. Anyways, Oral is going through a hard time because he, just like Stopframe, realized that after all this time, Clay has never been a good person. So, rather than try to help Oral cope with the situation or help him find something honorable about his father, he decides to spend the day having fun with Oral. But very clearly, he's gonna be benefiting from this more than Oral. Because it doesn't get to the root of his problems, Oral's gonna continue to have these struggles with Clay. All the while, Stopframe is able to ignore his problems and go on with his life. Eventually, though, he does help Oral realize that the one good thing that Clay ever did was to make him. And this seems to be a turning point in Stopframe's life. He realizes that he can enjoy being around other people, and he puts his really unsettling and dangerous obsession with Clay to the side. Even when Clay finally breaks down and wants to be in a relationship with Stopframe, Stopframe turns him down, and it's implied that from here on out, he's seen the error of his ways and he's gonna make things right. Or at least, not be as bad of a person as he used to be. Do I think this justifies everything he's done?
Of course not.
In fact, I can use Stopframe's own words against him. In regards to this whole redemption,
It's too late.
yes, Stopframe has decided to stop trying to destroy Clay's life and claim him for himself. Yes, he's not going to be as bitter or mean of a person, and yes, he's established a friendship with Oral, but look at all the damage he's caused. He brought a troubled child into this world because he wanted to break up a marriage, and it basically worked. This made Clay and Blaberta's marriage way unhappier, and it also added a lot more stress to Oral's life. Though, of course, that last part wasn't intended, but does he care? Nope. He's also definitely not going to connect with Shapey, you know, his own son. He's not going to try to make things right with Blaberta or apologize for what he did to her. And then Clay, well, yeah, okay, I can see why he wouldn't want to make things right with him, so moving on. It's too little too late. No matter what he does to apologize or to try to make them happy now, it won't undo the last 7 years where he spread nothing but misery. And how do I know he's not going to try to make things right? Does that really seem like something he'd do? Even after he's had that heart-to-heart with Oral, it's pretty clear that all he really wants to do is just move on. Stopframe here goes to show that it's not the religion that makes Morrilton bad. I don't know what it is, maybe it's something in the water, but everyone here is just evil, regardless of their beliefs. The scary thing is that, just like a lot of the people in Morrilton, there are people like Stopframe in real life. These sad, deranged people that'll latch onto a person even if they don't really know them. They'll kind of construct an alternate version of the person in their head, kind of like an ideal form, so to speak. And then they'll do anything they can to sink that hook into the person and never let them go. Even if it means destroying their family, friendships, or their life in general, as long as they can have the person, they'll be happy. And really, at the end of the day, that's what matters. Who cares what people think about them? As long as they get what they want, they win. It's hard to give sympathy to people like these, especially when they're like Stopframe, who, when you think about it, have caused basically all of the major problems in the course of the show. With the exception of the beginning of Clay and Blaberta's marriage, Stopframe is responsible for basically anything that causes the show to be what it is. At least with the Puppingtons. That's why I like to call Coach Stopframe the man in the shadows. He may not get a ton of focus, but when you look at everything all laid out, he's like a shadowy puppet master who's been playing with the characters to cause all these problems, and they just don't go away. Unseen and immoral, selfish and possessive, cold and distant. All of these things make up Danielle Stopframe, the man in the shadows. And real quick, before we get to the outro of this video, I want to do the first fan art shoutout that we've done in, wow, how long has it been? About a year? This fan art comes courtesy of the very talented Jilly B. This fan art in particular is based on the Tales of Moralton High series, and for those of you who don't know what that is, I basically went to a school just like Morrilton in real life, and I make this series talking about all these crazy adventures and weird things that would happen there and all that good stuff, really. Here we've got me, Grorn, the demon girl that the school really didn't want me to ask out, and the lovely Miss Frabblehouse. Very well done, Jilly B. Well done indeed. These showing up in my inbox really made my day. Well, folks, thanks for watching the video. What'd you guys think? What do you think is the worst thing that Stopframe has ever done? And what's the best? Comment below and let me know because I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say. I have a feeling that the list of best things he's done will be relatively short. And now it's time to thank our wonderful Patreon people, starting with our Masters of Fate, Manny Paredes, Kev, Leaf Storm, Ryan Williams, Chan 11, Woody Woo, and MD the Dude. And now our executive producers, Unkale, Blackjack, Edward Haas, HR Hoffman, Who Else But Zane, YouTube Milkwad, Albert Robinson, I Am Fove, Aaron Vasquez, Ravioli Supremo, and Indiscreet One. If you two would like your name read at the end of every Media Mementos video, then consider donating to the Patreon. There's a link in the description below for you to check out. It's not very expensive, my friends. Why not give it a shot? Thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you guys next time.